All right, welcome to MACA 1320. This is an online Photoshop class. Some of you may have heard of Photoshop before. The purpose of this video is just to go through some of the basics of, what the class is, how do you navigate, just so you're a little bit more comfortable with it. This is a picture of me, sure, I guess. It'll do for the class, so just pretend that looks like me. This is our class, 1320, so if you've never been to Canvas before, there will be a little test, review, overview, exam type thing you have to do, and then you can get into our class. Inside here you'll find our first day handout along with all of the assignments and due dates and whatever else you'll see over there on the side. So I'm just going to open up the first day handout. And this is the first day handout here. Now you should save this to your desktop so you have it, or save it to a folder so you have it. You'll see the first page here says Introduction to the Class, and there's a bunch of really interesting quotes. One of the things you're going to do is that you'll take one of these quotes that you like, read through all of them, find one you like, and you'll use this later. So just remember that and we'll get back to it. My name is Sean Sarcona. I'm the program coordinator and lead faculty for 3D and CGI in MACA. Here is my email address. There is my Skype. There is my office phone number if you need it. All of our classes start on Monday, so every new week is a Monday. All of our assignments are typically due on a Sunday, with a couple exceptions. For required materials, writing utensil is required. Definitely have that. And note-taking paper. You want to have something where you can record any of the notes as you're watching a video. You want to make sure that you can take notes about stuff. It says external hard drive of 50 gigs or more. If you're working on your home computers, you could definitely just use whatever that is. Just make sure you're backing your stuff up in case something happens. Pair of headphones. Most of the time, you'll be listening to a video of me just like this one. And during that time, you want to make sure that you have headphones on, so if it's the middle of the night, you're not disturbing anyone. 10 to 20 hours or more per week. This is really going to depend on you. Some people may go up to 30 or even 40 hours a week. It all depends on your level and how fast you work. I recommend also some kind of Photoshop book. There's a million Photoshop books out there. And these are all really good, and depending on what you eventually end up wanting to go into, you may find that, Photoshop for photographers is a good book to have, or Photoshop for illustration is a good book to have, or whatever, okay? So I recommend, at least getting something you can kind of page through. It'll definitely help you out later on. I also recommend getting a Pluralsight account. Our bookstore has these. You can also sign up for a 10-day trial if you want. A Pluralsight account is basically like tutorials. So if I go over something, I may not go into the full depth of it because this is an introduction class, but you may want to get more of that information. So for something like Photoshop, you can see that there's 39 hours of just this, 34 hours of just that, 22 hours of just that, 35 hours of just that. So there's like a million hours in here of different techniques you can do in Photoshop, and it really takes your skills a bit further. Okay, so the book is optional. I definitely recommend it. Same thing with Pluralsight, definitely recommend it. And then the software here, Adobe Photoshop, you do need this. That's a requirement of this class. You can get this from Adobe's website for students. And you do need CC because there are some features that are not available anywhere else. So for students and teachers, the price of it is, if you just wanted Photoshop, you can get it for $9.99 a month. Okay, so that's a pretty good deal if you just wanted Photoshop. If you're in other classes, you get Lightroom too, and Spark, which I've never used Spark. If you are in other classes and you want to utilize this license, $20 a month, you get 20 plus apps, including Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Typically, the students get this. They get this $20 a month thing, and you get all these applications. It really is an awesome deal. So I would recommend getting that if you're taking any other classes. You will also need a Dropbox account. I'll have a separate video, but you'll reference that link. And here's information about Adobe and Adobe CC. This is MACA 1320. This used to be 1300. That doesn't matter to you, but it used to be. This is basically raster-based image creation and manipulation program. Topics include file formats, scanning, resolutions, tools, theories, image creation, and manipulation. Photoshop is it's basically one of those tools that you will use regardless of what specialty you're in. At some point, you will use Photoshop. And typically, when you use it, it's like all the time, okay? And a lot of the stuff we're going to touch on in here is very broad, and we cover a lot of bases. If you're in web, you're going to use Photoshop one way. If you're in design, you'll use it a different way. If you're in illustration, you'll use it a different way. So we want you to see all the different ways that you can use Photoshop, because when you get to those areas, you want to have abilities to use it. Okay, so here's some course objectives. You can definitely read through that. Here's our assignment breakdowns. So web page assets is worth 3 points, photography 4 points, 3D texture creation 4 points, image manipulation 6 points, okay, and so on down the list. Some of these will have planning to them. So this cartoon character, you get 2 points for planning. This one you get 3 points for planning and thumbnails, and then some pre-done stuff. All of my assignments are point-based, okay, meaning there's no average. Like if you were to take a class and you got 100 on this test and 100 on that test and 100 on that test, they would add them up and they would divide by the number of tests, and that would be an average. This is straight points. So if you don't turn in your web page assets, then you just get 3 points off your final grade, okay? If you only half do your photography assignment, then you get 2 points off your final grade, or whatever it ends up being, okay? So you have to make sure that you have all of these things kind of set out. So usually what happens is students freak out because you don't really see the end points until the end of class, okay? So halfway through the class, you'd only have as many points as this is, but it's not going to be like anywhere near an A because you're still missing all those points, okay? So just be aware of that. As long as you're keeping track of, you know, you got 6 out of 7 here and 6 out of 6 and 6 out of 6, you know, you'll be fine if you keep track of it that way. If you have a late assignment, it's 1 point per day late. So if something is due on Sunday and you turn it in on Monday, you lose 1 point. That's a huge drop if you only have 3 points here, or if you only have 2 points. If there's an extenuating circumstance, contact me ahead of time and let me know. Your computer crashes, whatever, okay? You'll notice that a couple things. One, there's a daily drawing assignment, which is 10 points. Now this is drawing every single day, not every week, not every month. Every single day you will be drawing and you will earn 10 points. This is the super easiest points you'll ever earn in any class, okay? So 10 points, make sure you're doing that. I'll discuss that again later. We also have, you'll see these points add up to 90. Discussion boards are 10 points, and there's extra credit, which is 2 points. Again, easy points. This is like a little test you'll take, or a little survey you'll take of just how the class is going. We'll get to that when we get to it. So for this class, you can actually get 102 points. So that way, if you do lose a couple points, maybe an assignment is late, you can always make it up a little bit with those extra credit, okay? Keys to success. Show up to each class on time, ready to work. Pay attention, take notes, ensure what's required. You're doing what is required. Work during the class. Basically just set aside your time and work. If you're trying to do your work while you're watching TV and playing with a dog and eating dinner, number one, that's weird, but number two, you're just gonna have a hard time focusing on your stuff. Do your homework. So when something's due, make sure you get it done and then turn it in at the deadline. If you have questions, ask them and push your skills. Keys to failure. If you constantly miss classes or are constantly being late. Now, this doesn't apply too much for an online class, but if you're not checking in, you're not focusing on your work, you're not doing what you need to do, typically that's where students kind of fall apart with this, okay? Guessing what is required is another area where people just kind of assume they understand it without actually focusing on what to do, and then they turn in something completely wrong and not what they need to. And then not taking notes. Always take notes. It doesn't matter if I'm going to see them or anyone else is going to see them. Always take notes. And then turning in work as you feel like it. Yeah, that's definitely a no-no. Okay. If you lose a point per day and you're 4 points or 4 days late on some of these assignments, that's 0 points. Okay. That could really knock your grade down. Here's classroom policies. Your work for the class is determined for your attendance. So if you don't post, read, do work, your grade's going to reflect it. We will have discussion forums. Make sure you're posting in discussion forums. You have to post your response to the discussion forum, and then you also have to reply to somebody else's. So there's always a twofer there. You post yours, you reply to somebody else's. Okay. You can communicate with me using your Angel course mail. Typically, it takes about 48 hours, so don't wait until the last minute to contact me for a question. Get your stuff done ahead of time. That way, if there are questions, you can get to me ASAP. Don't cheat on stuff, okay? Don't have anyone else do your work for you. Don't turn in somebody else's work. There's only been a handful of times that people have cheated in the past, and every time they've been caught because it's pretty obvious that, you didn't do the work. We are ADA compliant, so if you do have any special needs, definitely check that out. Your stuff is confidential and proprietary stuff, so we don't share any of your information online. The course is 12 weeks, okay? So make sure that you're focusing on that time. This is a condensed class, especially with it being online. This class could take a lot of hours per week, and with it being 12 weeks, that's like a whole lot of work you have to do for this. So make sure that you're really focused on this, and if at any point during the first day or 2 days you're like, this isn't for me, definitely withdraw, get your money, or transfer to an on-grounds class. Some people are better in on-grounds than online. I've done both. I prefer on-ground, okay? Online is definitely convenient, but sometimes having that on-ground constant connection with your teacher through class is the way to go. Some people cannot do online. So just because it's offered doesn't mean that, it's definitely recommended. More information about Macomb's policies, you can check there. You can read through this. I'm not going to go through all of this stuff. I'm going to go through the gist of it. You have to be a active participant in this online class. You have to be engaged. You can't just kind of like kick your heels or kick the dust until, the class is over and kind of scoot by with a C. It doesn't work, especially in a class like this, okay? And this isn't the kind of class you'd even want to do that in. Not that you want to do that in anyone, but you really need to focus on this stuff. Each course opens at 12 a.m. on Monday morning, right? So Sunday night it closes, and then Monday morning it opens up the next week. So make sure that you're paying attention to when things are starting, when things are ending, when things are due. Sometimes there's going to be some overlap. Make sure all your stuff is set up. If there's any issues, like I said, contact me. Always have a contingency plan. Hard drives may die. You may not save your file. It happens. So make sure you leave plenty of time for that stuff. Don't just make excuses because you were lazy. You are in control of your stuff. I can't control your education. All I can do is post stuff and hope that you're following it, and then hoping that if you have questions, you ask them. Make sure you're, again, taking control of your education. What you can expect from me, I'm going to be as available as I can for this stuff. I've been doing an online class for several years, and there's only been a few times where I've had students who, just can't do it. They just can't do an online class. But I try my best to make sure that every opportunity is taken for me to help you get through this class, as long as you work with me. Okay, so you can't wait until week 11 and say, a bunch of stuff happened, I can't get my work turned in. That doesn't work. Okay, you're learning to be professional, so be professional. Here's a week-by-week schedule, so this will definitely help. There's a URL or a link for each week. You'll see there's one. You'll watch that information. I'll also have a video for you to watch as well of, here's how you open up Photoshop, here's some of the hotkeys kind of thing. And then we'll have an actual assignment. Okay, so this for week 1, this is due, sorry, not 8/20. This is due at the end of the week, which is 8/26. You'll have a discussion board due, and then you'll have your web page assets due. So you'll see, even in this first week, very hectic because you got to go through all this beginner stuff, and then you actually have an assignment that's due. So make sure you have this assignment due or turned in, and then you also have your web page assets turned in too. Week 2, that'll start Monday, the week after that, so 8/27. Here's a video you'll watch. Here's the assignment you'll watch. And then that assignment you'll turn in on that Sunday. Okay, and then the rest of the semester will go pretty much the same. Eventually we'll get to stuff where... Here it is. Watch cartoon character to life planning. Watch photo collage planning. So here we're not even working on, photo collage or cartoon character, but we're starting the planning phase for these so that when we get to them, photo collage, wherever that cartoon character went. Cartoon character life planning. Yep, there it is. Due Sunday, cartoon character. There it is. So you'll see that, this stuff is going to be coming up really quick. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're planning your time accordingly. I think that was the last page. Yep. Okay. All right. So 12 weeks. This is going to fly by every semester, it seems to, and this probably no exception. All right. So there's the first day handout. Here's all the assignments. Okay. Nothing that you turn in will be turned in on Canvas. You have to do that a separate way, which I will show. For now, just pay attention to, you have stuff right here where you could click on it and it says you'll be turning in your final web page PSD. Ensure the file contains blah, blah, blah. 3 points, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you can read that. Under discussion board, here's all the discussion boards. Under grades, you can check out your grades. Syllabus, you can check that out. Modules is where everything is going to lay. So under general course information, you'll see questions and clarification. If you have a general question you want to post to the group, post it there. If you have a specific question you want to ask me, you need to email me because this doesn't always notify me that there's a question. Okay. Here's some advanced or examples of advanced Photoshop student work. So just so you can see where, this goes. Oh, wait, 27 seconds. Photoshop can be used for multiple areas, not just for editing pictures. It could be used for creating images or drawing characters or creating environments or creating textures or like drawing cars. Typically, any photo you've ever seen, probably in the past decade, has had some sort of Photoshop done to it if it's ended up in a magazine or something. There's a lot of work that people use Photoshop for. So this car was drawn in Photoshop. The cutaway, so the car and the engine were all drawn. In Detroit, you're going to find a lot of this kind of stuff, a lot of product illustrations inside Photoshop. There's also some MACA student portfolio links. And what this does is it'll take you to Vimeo. And all of these are different students that are inside the MACA area that have posted it. Now, they may not all be inside there. They may be past ones. They may be current ones. They may just be people who have joined on. So you can check out some of their work and see, what people have done. Here's some student industry reels. So if you want to check out some other reels from other places, these are some different studios that we've had students working at. Here's some other students. You can check out their specific demo reels and their specific web pages. Go away. There you go. You can check out professional Sorial illustrations. This is one of our other instructors. His name is Brian Sorial. He has tutorials for After Effects, Illustrator, and Photoshop on here as well. He also has some other stuff you can definitely check out too. It's a lot of information. I realize that I'm giving you, but it's very important that you have the information there. So when you need it, it's ready to go. Here are side-by-side hotkeys. These are just kind of like random ones. Inside here are the actual Photoshop Mac and Photoshop Windows. I'm on a Windows machine, so all the hotkeys I say will be Windows driven. But you'll see that the only real difference is when I say Control for a hotkey, on a Mac it would be Command. And when I say Alt on a Windows station, it's Option. Okay? You want to use hotkeys as much as possible. Everyone in the industry uses hotkeys because they make your work go quicker. CG Textures, DeviantArt, You Suck at Photoshop, you can check out those as well. And here's generic week 1 stuff. So discussion forum there, mid-semester survey, end of semester survey. You won't see these yet because I'm in instructor mode. But for introductory discussion forum, you will click that. And this will be due by Wednesday. You'll see what it says here. A short paragraph, 5+ sentences describing who you are, why you're taking this class, what your initial thoughts are about Photoshop. Then choose one of the quotes from the first day handout you feel speaks to you. Mention the quote and then why you feel it speaks to you. You receive 1 point providing your answer to each of the questions and replying to someone else's post. So if you don't reply to somebody else's, you get 0 points. If you only did yours or you only replied, you get 0 points. You have to do both things in order to get that point. Okay. So here's the quotes from the first day handout. So you'll go into the discussion board. You will reply to this. And then you'll write your post. Hello, my name is Sean Sarcona. I am the program coordinator and faculty lead for 3D and CGI at Macomb Community College in the MACA department. Okay, so you write 5 sentences like that. You'll pick a quote. You could even copy and paste it if you want. And then, of course, adjust some of the spacing here. There we go. And then why you like it. I like this quote because... There you go. Okay. So I'm just going to delete mine. And then that would be that discussion board. So I'll go back to my modules where I wanted to go. Okay, so that will be part of it. Then you will reply to somebody else's. So somebody else will post something, you'll reply to it in complete sentences. Not, yeah, I like that too, or me too, or whatever. Reply like you cared about how much wording you put there. Okay. Welcome week 1. That's what you're kind of watching now. Dropbox setup. So that will be another video. And then week 1 playing, which is just getting your feet wet with Photoshop. Okay. So it's just the basic stuff. And then for the actual assignment, you'll see down here web page assets. Okay. So you'll watch the web page assets video. I'll even put that on the top. There we go. And that web page assets video will go through how do I make my web page that I will then turn in. Okay. So pretty easy. Once you start doing this, week 1, week 2, by then you'll be a pro at it. Okay. So if you do have any questions, definitely ask the questions. Make sure you're getting your stuff in on time. I know the first week of a semester, especially online, is always nerve-wracking. So, take your time with it, but not too much time, right? All right. So I'll see you in the next video.